Welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. We are live. Thanksgiving week, Lee. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to be lazy.
Yeah, me too. I'm ready.
So I figured we'll just go through Mike Tomlin's press conference for this week.
All right.
And usually he starts off by talking about last week's game. So
Yeah.
we'll just get right into it, too, with what he has to say here.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Good afternoon. As always, I'll start with a quick preview of our last performance. As I mentioned after the game, certainly a tough game and close game, and oftentimes when it's good on good, man, it comes down to a handful of potential plays. But how do you identify those plays as the singular significant ones? Really, from a leader's perspective, you don't. You put a bunch of irons in the fire. You understand that any of those plays in any of those areas can be the significant difference. And I thought there were some specific areas in all three phases of the game that contributed to us to not winning the game. On special teams, as I mentioned after the game, I got to give a lot of credit to their kicker. In the kickoff game, he delivered some challenging, dirty balls in the kickoff game, balls that land just barely inside the landing zone and bounce around that are difficult to feel in advance. That's the new hang time and the new dynamic kickoff. And so as soon as that ball hits the ground, people can start covering. I thought it, certainly challenged us from a field positioning standpoint. I think his first three were really, really successful in that space. And I thought in the latter part of the game, man, we needed better timely punting, particularly in the waning moments of the game. I think our last punt was 33 yards, and certainly been pleased with Corliss's body of work over the greater portion of the season, but we needed a little bit more last Sunday, and so I'm excited about him bouncing back from that as we lead in on this week's opportunity. On offense, we talked about a couple specific things. They were number 2 in the league in third downs, and so we talked about we had to be in very manageable third downs. I thought we were successful in doing so. I thought we ran the ball effectively. And I think that gave us like 7 third down and 3 or less scenarios. We converted 6 of those. And I just think that's the first way that you negate a unit that has dynamic schematics and players in that space. We stayed at less than 3rd and 5, didn't allow them to get to a lot of their schematics, turning the tables in our favor. And to be quite honest with you, that's something that we've excelled at this year. 3rd down and 2 or less, we got to be one of the top units in football in terms of those conversions. And so oftentimes the things that lead up to possession down play really determines how it unfolds, and I thought we did a really good job there. We also talked about their defense thriving in the takeaway game. They had 22 or so going into the game. They were tops in football. We were certainly less successful there, and it was really impactful in terms of how the game unfolded. We turned the ball over at midfield there early, and they were able to get 7. And then in the early portions of the second half or in the third quarter, we got sack, fumble, put them on the short field again, and they were able to turn that also into a touchdown. And really, when you peel it all back, I think their ability to turn our turnovers into touchdowns and our inability to do so on the other side was really the difference in the game. Obviously, we had.
So what were your thoughts on him starting off with the kicking game is the issue? I am with him on the Waitman part. He did not have a great game himself, but he mentioned their kickoffs and the fact that and he specified the first few of them were ways that changed field position. But if you look at the scoring breakdown, the Steelers scored following the Bears' first 3 touchdowns. So the Bears scored a touchdown. Then following drive, the Steelers scored a touchdown. The Bears scored their next touchdown. The Steelers scored a touchdown, and then so that's the first half there. I'm not 100% sure what he's getting at with that. Obviously the Steelers didn't have to go the distance on those drives, but it didn't hamper them to the point that he was trying to make. I don't think.
Is he watching the same game that we're watching?
Yeah, come out with special teams is the reason for this loss.
That's what I'm thinking about. When he started talking about the kickoffs, I'm thinking to myself, when has that been a problem with the I mean, I understand there was the rookie Caleb Johnson that made that mistake, but I don't think there's been any issues with the kickoffs. And for him to say that this game was the one that did it, is he even out there? Like, is he out there while?
I see it as something you can make this comment of coming off a win. Coming off a win, you want to like correct some things that went bad, and the idea that you did have to go 95 yards in your first scoring drive is true, but you did it. So I don't think that's the reason for the difference in the game was them screwing up the kickoffs early on.
No,
so,
I don't either, and I agree with what you said about what Corliss Whitman with that one punt, but for him to start it off with that, I don't know what he's talking about. Like I'm at a loss. I was so confused, like just listening to him talk about that. Like I didn't know what he was talking about. So I don't agree with any of that at all. I don't know what he's talking about.
He did then go into the turnover.
And then he said
you go ahead. Go ahead. You go first.
No, then he started going into the third down conversion shit and saying that they've gotten better, which again, I don't agree with what he's saying.
It's not to agree or disagree. For me,
it was a lot better this game. Yeah, it was better this game. So for him to say that is a problem too.
Yeah, so he really isn't addressing why they had lost in those first 2 points. He then does go into the fumble by Mason, which did make a good, which was a big factor in the game. You can't deny that. That was the that allowed the Bears to go up 31-21. So he finally did get to the point where he was talking about something that I think was significant in the game. But let's see what else he has to say.
He should have started with that.
I agree too.
I don't know what he's talking about.
So let's see where we are now with Mike Tomlin.
One takeaway on defense that resulted in a touchdown, and man, that's been awesome. I think we got 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks defensively. That's a good sign as the road gets narrow. But the other turnover we got there at midfield, Y.A. Black in a short yardage circumstance, we lost that possession on a turnover on downs in the subsequent drive. And so, when it's good on good, that minutia is often the difference. As I mentioned, we were able to take the ball away from them. And that's something that they excelled at on offense. I think they had 6 turnovers over the course of the season. We got 2 big ones, but we also had an opportunity at some other ones that didn't come to fruition. We had a turnover right before the half get taken away because we were offsides. And if you remember, they settled for a field goal on that drive, and the outcome of the game was 3 points. And so these and some of the things that I previously mentioned is what I mean when I talk about there's often a lot of irons in the fire in terms of how games unfold, how you engineer victory. And that's why we talk about all 3 phases, putting together comprehensive plans and coordinating those efforts in the effort to find that type of synergy, that type of complementary football that allows those things to happen. From an injury standpoint,
it's just we talked about it. It's like a going through the motion type of press conference from him here. The post game on Sunday, he seems to just be going through the motions. Who knows if I'm right or wrong, but
that's what it seems like. And it's like he starts talking about these 3 phases, and I get that there's 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams, but some of the stuff that he's talking about is not the problem of what happened in this game. And he doesn't need to go through all 3 of those phases and all these aspects of what's going on with this team, because we, as the fans, we can see what the problem is. And I know he knows there's a problem with certain things. He's just blind. He's blind to it. So I don't know what he's doing. So I think just like how it was, like you said, with the post game, he's just going through, like you said, the motions with it. I agree. That's all he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Let's get some injury updates for the team here.
Man, we got a couple things to talk about. Broderick Jones has a neck injury. He'll be classified as out this week. I'll have more information for you the next time we get together, but certainly he'll be classified as out this week. Same thing goes for Derek Harmon. He sustained a knee injury in play, was able to finish the game, but he'll be characterized as out this week. Optimistic about a couple returns. Aaron obviously, worked his tail off to get to us last week. But as I mentioned over the course of the weekend. It was a prudent and appropriate decision. We'll start this week with great optimism, although we certainly will limit him at the early portions of the week, provide opportunities for the other quarterbacks while preserving him. But again, we're comfortable with the general trajectory. But I'll keep you updated, and his level of participation and the quality of his participation over the course of the week will be the greatest indicator. Same thing could be said for Alex Highsmith. He's been out the last couple of weeks, but we're optimistic as we start the week about his inclusion this week. A couple of guys that are managing some in-game things from last week that may be limited at the early portions of the week, and we'll see where their participation leads. Joey Porter with a hip. DK Metcalf got his ankle rolled, but he was able to finish. But again, certainly will probably limit him at the early portions of the week. And the same thing for Ben Skoranek with a shoulder. Now on to Buffalo.
So, getting Aaron Rodgers and Alex Highsmith back is big. Losing on two young guys with Harmon and Project Jones also is tough. I would like to see both those guys out there just to get snaps at the very least. And they're slowly improving. Jones has been up and down. Harmon, I think has been really good when he's been healthy, but this is the second time where he's going to be missing a game due to injury. Where do you want to go with it? Go talk about whatever you want to talk about injury-wise there.
It's just unfortunate that some of the younger guys are injured, and you really do want to see them out there, and then of course some of the other injuries that we did sustain in that, because there was a lot of injuries in that game on both sides of the field, and just hoping that a speedy recovery for all these guys. If DK is down, that's going to be bad because we really don't. He's our only pretty much wide receiver. We don't really have a number two really. Mason, we've already talked about. He's really not the guy. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a fracture. He's 40 years old. It's going to be tough for him to be even out there. The depth is pretty. Even though we have this very expensive defense, it's still not the greatest depth when it comes to that as well on the defensive side with some of those players that are down. And so, just hoping for a speedy recovery with these guys. It's very unfortunate these guys got injured, but hoping that these guys can at least get some type of practice and play time this week. Maybe, hopefully, some healthy recoveries for some of these guys to be able to participate on Sunday.
I'm making the executive decision to skip ahead a little bit because I feel that him talking about the Bills is just going to become a love fest for him and Josh Allen and all the other weapons they have. So I'm going to hope.
Yeah.
Get into some more specific questions here. So let's see what I can do here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to jump
in. Are just oftentimes too big and long to block in the running game for quote unquote normal tight ends. And so we got a lot to be excited about. We got a lot, obviously, from a challenge perspective. It's a big ball weekend. We show our respect to that with how we prepare. We're doing so right now as a staff, and looking forward to continuing that with the players tomorrow as we lean in on prep. I'll pause and open it up for questions.
Before we get into it, come on. I swear I didn't do that ahead of time. I didn't look into it. I got within, 10 to 15 seconds of getting it in there. But let's start off with some questions here from Tomlin.
Was one extra week or a week off enough to alleviate any concerns / fears you might have had about Aaron with his wrist?
I think time will tell. There were so many unknowns last week because it just is lack of work during the course of the week. I think that there'll be less unknowns regarding that topic, and that's what makes this week an encouraging one, and that's why we're hopeful.
The determining factor there, safety for him, was that what the determining factor in pulling him out?
It was just the appropriate thing to do from our perspective.
That's such an easy question to answer yes or no to, that he has to push it that way. What are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? We didn't get too far into him when we were talking before. Do you see him as being ready this week?
I don't. I think that, the guy has a fractured left hand. I I know that he has his own little health remedies that he does and things like that to get himself ready. He was able to heal himself somehow quickly with his Achilles, a couple years ago. But he's 2 years older than from that injury, and I just don't think that he's going to even be ready to still be able to get the ball from the center to be able to grasp it at least. I mean, I understand it's not his throwing hand, but it's still going to be tough. And I don't think he's going to be ready for this Sunday. And I think that they're going to have to go with Mason again.
I honestly think he'll be ready. And then I'm also thinking that they'll do a lot of shotgun and stuff like that to counter the idea of him having to go under center on those third and shorts and stuff like that. If he has to get under there for a couple plays, hopefully it doesn't lead to a fumble or anything. But I think he'll be able to manage it. I'm sure this isn't the first time he's had to deal with injuries to his hands and everything like that. He's had a long career where he did miss a lot of games. So I'm actually thinking he'll be there this week, and especially since he almost went last week.
Okay.
So I think he'll be out there.
Well, I hope so. I really do. I hope so. I hope so.
Physical work does Aaron need to get to be able to play on Sunday?
Again, what he needs and what others might need are certainly different topics of conversation, but we don't focus on bare minimum in terms of what he needs. Our goal is to, proceed with caution appropriately, while at the same time giving him all the work that we can afford to give him. And so we're just certainly going to live that day by day. He clocks in and visit with Gabe and the training staff every morning, and we kind of build a plan from there.
Do you need to see, do you need to see him take more snaps under center to test that risk?
Again, we'll see where the week leads us.
Mike, with Derek Harmon, is this the same injury that he dealt with in the preseason, or is it
No, it was something that happened in game last Sunday.
Was it the same knee or the other?
To be honest with you, I'm not even certain. He was able to finish the game, and so it wasn't on my radar when I visited with you guys post-game, but it certainly turned up on Monday morning, and that's why I just wanted to be transparent with you.
Mike, how do you feel about your depth there specifically?
It's not a big deal, but that is a little weird that he doesn't know exactly what's going on with his player's injury. I don't know how you feel on it.
It just reminds me of just him standing on the sideline of that Bears game. He's just he's not even there. Like he's so like clocked out. I swear.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it just does seem to be something where he is clocked out a little bit. I did lose you a little bit there at the end, but I think I got the general context of what you were saying and everything. Yeah, he just isn't there in the way that a younger Tomlin was there, I guess. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something.
He's something. There's something up with him, but he's not there at all.
Really encouraged by his growth, man, and I think his play time is kind of reflective of that. But we like our young D linemen, and we've acquired a new one in Broderick, and so sometimes guys will get an opportunity. One man's misfortune is another man or another men's opportunity, and so we're encouraged by the depth that we have at that position. We'll take the collective through the week. We can see who can execute detail, and I'm sure it'll be more than one person. It often is when we're talking about losing somebody that's starter caliber.
Like, how do you balance maybe the competitive nature of a guy like Aaron, who obviously really wants to be out there and play, versus what you feel is right in terms of safety and just the long-term benefit for the team?
I think first and foremost, you lean on the advice of the medical experts. I'm not going to take his competitive spirit and his will to compete as a negative. Those are positives. But certainly, it's our job as leaders to exercise appropriate precaution. And first and foremost, for me, are the opinions of the medical staff.
When you look back at it, where do you think you guys could have been better in your red zone defense against Chicago?
There are a couple calls you'd like to have back, certainly. There's some detail that you'd like to have back. But oftentimes that's just the case. It's not, one glaring thing. It's popcorn. It's minutia here, minutia there. Man, we'd like to be in a different call under this circumstance. We'd like to have someone better positioned in that circumstance. And I think that's kind of reflective of the red zone output last week.
Through 11 games, big picture, offense or defense, do you find that you are dealing most often with those popcorn elements, or do you find that you are coaching around or still trying to coach better shortcomings?
It depends on the circumstance, and what I mean by the circumstance is oftentimes who you compete against, the nature of that matchup, their schematics is a component of that discussion, player availability within the 11 weeks, who's available, who's not available, and how that might impact your strategy. And so, it's difficult to paint with a broad brush, but I'll say largely, generally it's a combination of all of the above.
So yeah, going to the red zone comment, the Bears were 3 for 3 in the red zone for touchdowns. And they seem to be able to do whatever they wanted to do down there, if I'm remembering correctly. They did average 4 yards per rush, and I mean that's nothing crazy, but they were able to move the ball when they had the ball down there for sure. The other part of that, that's like a fun question to ask, but in reality, I don't have anything for it. But what are your thoughts on the red zone? Yeah, I said my piece on the red zone there. Looks like you might be having some more technical difficulties. I'm gonna go on here with Tomlin for a little bit.
More chunk plays offensively. Are there more opportunities in the middle of the field that you feel like you need to exploit?
Maybe. Again, it's week to week, depending on the schematics that the team or the teams that we compete against choose to deploy. But certainly, largely, if you look at the large body of work, there's probably some more opportunities for us in the interior portions of the field.
How did Calvin Anderson perform when he had to go in there, and who's going to be your swing tackle this year?
Feel really comfortable with what Calvin has given us. He's been that guy that's a swing tackle for us, and he's shown really good capabilities in that area. But we're also extremely comfortable with Pete, and that's one of the reasons why we acquired Pete. In the team development process. There's a guy that has a resume that started wire to wire, that came into this league as a first rounder. And so certainly he has a different profile than Calvin. We like both guys. Both guys are veteran professionals who have a certain level of preparedness and maturity that they bring to the work every day. And so we're going to prepare both guys, and we'll have more clarity as we get closer to game time.
Yeah, my hope personally is that Calvin Anderson and is able to take it along with Pete. That way, they can keep using Spencer Anderson as a sixth offensive lineman, third tackle, and the run game, because I think that is something they have been effective with, and I do like the way he's been able to play there. Did you hear any of that about the offensive tackle position with Broderick Jones out? Do you have any comments on it?
No, I didn't get to hear anything. For some reason, my Wi-Fi is going out because it's very windy where I'm at, so it's like going in and out. So I missed that last part. So I don't want to comment on something I didn't really get to hear. So
yeah, they just went in. Yeah, he just went into what's going to happen at tackle with Broderick Jones out.
Okay.
Sounds like Calvin Anderson's going to get a lot of snaps there, and then Pete may also come in there and play some. He didn't mention Spencer Anderson, so I think that what I was saying there at the end is true, that they're probably going to still keep him in his same role rather than have him replace Broderick Jones.
Gotcha.
Why has consistency been so elusive, particularly on defense?
It always is. I think oftentimes your record reflects that. If we were sitting here at 9-2, we'd probably be having less of the discussion. At 6-5, I think 6-5 in general speaks to that.
Mike,
I don't know. That was a pretty bullshit answer to that question. That is not the case for most defenses. I don't think inconsistency. Maybe since we've been living in the world of 9 and 10 wins, that's the case. But no, you want a team that's consistently getting a pass rush, consistently getting turnovers, and they haven't done it this season. They've been very Jekyll and Hyde on defense, and he didn't even address the offense, which is had their own issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, legendary, historic defense.
Yeah,
high state defense. What are we talking about? I don't know exactly. I'm gonna tell you something. Mike Tomlin is. I think he's just done. Like I think he's done with the season. He's done with everything. This was supposed to be a big year for them, and they have shit the bed. And I think he's done.
Yeah, there's this report out from Josina Anderson. saying that a head coach that has been in a spot for a long time is telling people that he's kind of ready to move on. There was no name put on it, but there's a lot of people speculating it might be Tomlin.
Yeah.
We'll find out at the end of the year. I think a lot of it will play on to how the season goes too. I think if they do find a way to make the playoffs here, he'll probably stick around. But who knows? Maybe that'll be his out too. Even if they can get the playoffs, get the winning season again, and ride off into the sunset.
Right off into the sunset. Yeah.
But yeah, let's keep going with Tomlin here.
Yeah.
The Bears got a bunch of their chunk plays against you guys in cover 3 zone defense. It seemed like you guys were leaning away from that in the recent weeks where you guys were finding more defensive success. Did you view that as maybe a schematic error in the alignment, or more of an execution error that you guys need to be better in those moments?
Sometimes it's just decisions that you make in an effort to fortify the matchup. As I mentioned, not only at the beginning of this, but at the beginning of last week, we were playing the number 2 Russian team in football. And so, man, that requires a certain deployment of schematics. And oftentimes the play action pass is a negative byproduct of that. I thought they executed their play action passing game with more fluidity and more consistently than they had leading up to our game. And so I got to give them credit for their planning and execution in that space.
In the situation of the 25-yard more touchdown we ran up the seam against you guys, it was trips right, 4 verticals. Is that a situation where you have to check out of the cover 3 zone?
I am not going to peel back the layers of how we function from a schematic standpoint, although I am impressed by the depths of your question.
Wow. Can't answer. Wow, I can't answer.
This was one of the questions that got a lot of play online, and they said it was a very political answer. Made him look like a politician, especially the ending there where he praises the question from I think it was Chris Carter, the reporter there. But yeah, he got a lot of steam online, I guess I'll call it political politician like answer. But yeah,
definitely a political answer for sure to a question. That's how you answer it without answering a question. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Mason's been very successful converting 3rd downs and extending some drives this last 6 quarters. Anything in particular that he's doing or why it's been so successful?
Mason?
Yeah, Mason.
Yeah, I think we've made a conscious effort to be on schedule. And I think when you're on schedule, man, it provides you more options and more ways to skin the cat, if you will. The run game becomes a component of it. As I mentioned, we're one of the elite teams in 3rd down and 2 or less. And as I mentioned in the last game, I think there were 7 instances where it was 3rd and 3 or less. And so that takes a lot of options and schematic options away from a defense and provides those for the offense.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I just don't think he has trust in Mason, just the way he answered that at the beginning there. And I think that did play a role in the scheme, and it led to them being in situations where they are in 3rd and short because they were doing a lot of dinking and dunking. They were doing a lot of plays where you're getting positive yards, but you're not stretching the field. And I mean, you can get drives going like that, but it's a lot harder to do that consistently throughout a game if you're not trusting your quarterback to throw the ball down the field a little bit. And that was the strength of Mason Rudolph, is the ability to throw the ball. Like if after the game there was no balls thrown over the middle again this game on our team on offense and on defense, that's where they keep getting hit.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm feeling right now. It's kind of weird that they even brought Mason back in, given how they treated him here this game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any faith in him. I think he's just a glorified backup, and they just see him as a fill-in. There's been maybe some couple splash plays he's made over his career being here in this city, on this team. But I don't think that there was anything there. I mean, you could definitely see by how the offensive scheme was being ran. They ran very well in this past game, which maybe there's something they should have continued to do. But you could tell just by the passes, these little 2-yard slants, these little screens, these little out routes. I mean, there was barely any balls that were thrown deep, which is like you've mentioned is his strength and things like that. And I just don't see where, you know, they have anything to be able to, I guess, have any type of plan for him, as, you know, him being in there as quarterback. You know, if somebody else is, if Aaron is out or whoever is the starting quarterback at the time, I just don't think that there's any type of plan that they really have for him.
And it's funny because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come to Pittsburgh, Mason may have been the starter to begin the season,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
would have been an odd situation given how I feel Tomlin probably sees him.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, a glorified backup is what you're kind of hoping for out of him. So that's not that bad of a thing to be. But
Yeah.
my bigger issue is I don't think they made a plan to make him succeed this week.
No, I don't think
Last
so
week.
either. I don't think so either.
Team's doing to limit Jonnu, and what can you guys do to get him more opportunities?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if they're doing anything specifically. Sometimes it's just our planning. Certainly, Jonnu is a capable member of our unit, and you know, it usually comes around. A number of weeks back, you guys were asking me about Muth, and I gave you a similar response. So keep watching.
Do you have a
Look at that one. Looks
I
like
think Jonnu Smith is terrible. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like I watched a lot of last season where he had a really good season and everything, and the way they're using him, they're like trying to use him as like a gadget guy.
Yeah.
But the fact is, he's still a tight end. So I don't know whether or not you need to get him the ball more than what they've gotten him.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you might be on the same page with me there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
outer limit in terms of yardage or a limit in terms of seconds remaining on the clock in your head before you rush on the field goal unit?
Yeah, I do, but you know, where's the ball located and things of that nature is a component of it.
Why has it been a struggle to, generate plays vertically in the passing game?
I was hoping he'd go into a little more depth. That was the big thing after the game for you. You would wanted to see Boswell out there on that final play, and instead of getting something from Tomlin, you get your normal 3-second response from him there. But
yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to hear something, but yeah, again, I just don't think he cares. I don't think he cares.
A lot of it's got to do with schemes that people deploy, but we also could be certainly better in that area. If you're speaking specifically to last Sunday, I thought the deep ball has always been an asset of Mason Rudolph's game, but it wasn't necessarily so last Sunday. We had some plays to be made down the grass that we didn't take advantage of. Second play of the game, he left the ball a little bit short versus DK. We had Roman down the grass and the ball sailed out of bounds, just as a couple of examples of that. And so, we acknowledge that, and we'll go back to work and keep pressing.
Mike, Troy was uncovered late in the game. Is that on Mason to recognize that, or is that on the receivers to make sure they're lined up right?
You're talking about on the illegal formation? We own that as a collective. We didn't do a good enough job in that moment as a collective. It certainly was a significant play. Oftentimes you're defined by your ability to execute under those circumstances when time is of the essence, when you're working at pace. And those of you that watch us practice, that's why we spend so much time working on that component of the game week in and week out. We start our Wednesdays with offense versus defense, working at pace. We finish Wednesday's practice and Thursday's practice under the same umbrella because we realize that you need reps in an effort to be clean there because that was a significant component of the game. We fought our tails off and had a chance to have the ball and go back at them. We converted a 3rd down and 4. Mason did with his legs, went down the field, but certainly we were illegal there and we were deserving of that penalty.
Yeah, that was another video that was going around was Aaron Rodgers had caught the illegal formation on the sidelines and was pissed off about it himself.
Yeah.
Before the play was even announced on the field. But yeah, I would say, it has to be everyone that can do it, but the quarterback's the one who's snapping the ball. I don't remember for sure, but I don't think that there was a clock issue where he had to get the snap off. So yeah, you got to, at the end of the day, that I would put that on Rudolph.
Yeah, I just think I agree with you, but I also think that this team is just undisciplined.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just routine things that they do every day in practice, and for them to just be able to continue to make these mistakes every game, it just goes to show how undisciplined this team is.
Yeah, that's enough of Tomlin for today, I think. Before we leave,
I lost you on sound.
So that's it for Tomlin, for me at least.
No sound.
Okay, Leo. We got 3 games coming on Thanksgiving. We have the Green Bay Packers and Lions, the Chiefs and Cowboys, and then the Bengals and the Ravens. That first game is at 1:00. Packers, Lions. Both teams are chasing the Bears we played last week. Personally, I think I'm going to go with the Lions at home. I will give the 3 as well. Next up is Chiefs Cowboys. The Chiefs have been on fire. They are going to Dallas for this game. Can you hear me now, Lee?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just talking about the games this week. Who do you got? Packers and Lions. What are you thinking?
Packers and Lions.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tough game. The Packers did win that first one, but I think the Lions might take the tiebreaker for this one. I think they may come out with a win here.
Yeah, I went with the Lions too. Then Chiefs Cowboys. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites in Dallas. Chiefs are on fire right now.
Yeah.
But Dallas hasn't been playing too bad either. Just beat the Eagles. I will take the Chiefs to win, but the Cowboys to cover that 3.5. So if I was betting, I'm going Cowboys, but overall on the money line, I'll go Chiefs. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think they've got their spark. I think they figured out what mistakes they made early on in the season. I think they're figuring things out, and I think that they're making a way for a playoff push. I know that Denver right now is leading their division, but I think that they're figuring some things out, and I think they're on a move to be able to make it to the playoffs. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to win.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, late game AFC North matchup. The Baltimore Ravens are a 7-point favorite against the Bengals with Joe Burrow coming back. Before I saw that number, I would have leaned to a closer game, but that scares me into thinking that Vegas knows something. So I'm going to take Ravens and the points there, and expect Lamar to play a little better. Lamar hasn't been playing too well. They've been relying on the run game a lot more, and not him running the ball. But overall, the Bengals have been bad this season. They might get that spark with Burrow coming back, but I'll still go with the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens. I think the Bengals are just in bad shape, and I get that Joe Burrow's coming back, but in my opinion, I think they should. I think their season's done for at this point. I think they should just let him rest and heal up, and let them just wait till next season. But if they want to bring him back, hopefully he's healthy enough and nothing can happen to him. But I'm going to take the Ravens to win this game.
Okay. And then we'll go Steelers, Bills. It is a home game for the Steelers, but the Bills are 3.5-point favorites. Everything points to the Bills winning this game, but it's a perfect scenario for the Steelers to come out and get a win. But I just can't see that. I'm going to go Bills getting the victory, and I think it'll be more than 3.5.
You know what? The Steelers, this is a game the Steelers should lose.
Uh-huh.
But they're so fucking silly with these fucking games.
Yeah.
The games that they should lose, that they're gonna fucking win this one. It's just gonna fucking happen. I know they're gonna lose, but they're gonna win. I'm gonna take them to win, and it's gonna be fucking silly. They're gonna win.
Go ahead. Finish up.
They're gonna win by a touchdown. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be silly.
Yeah, I mean the Bills haven't been the juggernaut they have been in the last couple seasons. And you can get some turnovers off Josh Allen, so it's possible. But I'm going to take the Bills there. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving, Lee. We'll talk post game. But we'll get out of here for now.
I'll see you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, I'll see you.